Today we are starting Chapter 2, Lesson 7, percent of a number. The essential question that we have been asking is, when is it better to use a fraction, a decimal, or a percent? Okay, really, that is completely up to the person trying to describe the situation at hand. Okay, now again, fractions we would normally use, say, when you're, I don't know, want to cut up a pie or something like that. Hey, I want a half a pie, or I want a quarter of that pie, or cut that pie into fourths. Or cooking, like I've said before. A decimal is normally used when you're talking about batting averages, okay? And percents, you usually score with a percent. Also, shooting percents in basketball is another idea. All right? The lesson essential question, how do you find the percent of a number? We will describe as we go along. Now, I will not answer that right now. I'm going to have you answer that question. This is going to be an answer you should be able to come up with, okay? Because I'm going to show you two ways to find the percent of a number, okay? All right, we'll start. In a survey, 200 students chose their favorite snacks. Use the table to find the number of students who choose snacks, who choose each snack, okay? So here it is. All right, so we're going to go ahead and do this real quick. All right, and as you see here, they have the snacks, they have percents, they have fractions, equivalent fractions, and number of responses. All right, so they're changing everything from a percent into a fraction using the definition of a percent. And the definition of percent is, you should be able to answer that question, but I'll answer it for you right now. A percent is a ratio comparing a number to 100. So, as you see here with fruit, 23% becomes 23 over 100. Well, we're actually looking at 200 students. So what they do is they make an equivalent fraction. They go, okay, so 100 can be brought to 200 by multiplying by 2. You do the same thing to the top. You just multiply by 2. That's what we're going to do here, going down to the bottom here, okay? So the first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to go ahead and fill out my fractions because that should be easy to do. 15% is 15 over 100. 17% is 17 over 100, 15% is 15 over 100, 18% is 18 over 100, and 12% is 12 over 100. Now we're going to go ahead and convert our fractions. But we know everything is being compared to 200. So all we need to do is just double our top fraction. 15 times 2 is 30. 17 times 2, 34. Again, 15 times 2, 30. 18 times 2, 36, and 12 times 2 is 24. Okay, now we just go ahead and fill out the number of responses because that's what they're looking for. Okay, as fruit was, we've already figured out what the equivalent or the number of responses are by looking at our equivalent fraction. So we have 46 over 200 is the same as 46 out of 200. So this is 30 out of 200, 34 out of 200, 30 out of 200, 36 out of 200, and 24 out of 200. Now, this way of solving for a fraction is okay. I mean, solving for a percent, excuse me, because we're finding the percent of a number. All right, this works only if the number is a nice round number like 200. Okay, but if it's not 200, I will show you how to do it. Now, what they want us to do is they want to make sure that the number of responses is out of 200. Okay, so we add the number of responses in the last column. 46 plus, here, I'll do a little math over here on the side. You know, that's 76. I'm going to do all this like this. That's 64, and then that's 50 or 60, right? And then when you total that up, you get 0, carry the 1, 12, 19, 200. Excellent. So, filling this out, right, we can go now 30, 34, 30, 36, and 24, and look, it becomes 200. Okay? Now, this is called finding the percent as a rate per 100. Okay? That means we're still having nice whole round numbers like 100 or 200 or 400 or even 1,000, right? Because there's no other numbers attached. It's just this single digit with a bunch of zeros at the end of it, right? So how does finding the percent as a rate per 100 help you find the number of responses out of 200? It lets us, let's up. Come on, let's up. That's not right. It's lets us make an equivalent ratio, right? Right? Okay? Now, that's fine and dandy and all, but what happens if it's an ugly number that's not just a nice round number? Okay? So here are some ways of doing it. Now, to find the percent of a number, you can use fractions and decimals to find the percent of a number. To find the percent of a number, write the percent as a, well, this says here a fraction with a denominator of 100, then multiply the fraction by the number. Here's what, that's good. If you like dealing with fractions, that's fine and dandy, okay? And that's what they do right here, okay? All right, so that's what they're going to do here. Refer to the circle graph. Suppose there are 300 students, right? So there's 300 students in this graph here. This is out of 300 students, okay? All right, and they want to ask is they want us to find the number of students that have a cheese as a snack. So we're looking at cheese and cheese only, okay? And that number is 15%. Now, if you look what they do here, okay, which is okay, I'm okay with what's going on here. They write percent as a fraction, which is a number comparing to 100. That's 15%, so it's 15 over 100. They simplify it, okay, and then they multiply straight across, and that's possible, okay? So what they did here is they took 15 over 100, just so that you recognize, they simplified it by dividing out of 5, right? And that becomes 3 over 20, and then they multiplied it by 300, okay? Now remember that you got to put it into a fraction, simplify, okay? So you can obviously take out a 10 out of both of them, right? You can cross simplify. So we're going to, actually you can take a 20 out of both of them, okay? Which that'll make this 1, and that'll make this, I believe, 60. But let me just do it. Right, just to show you. No, see, I'm already wrong. That's 100. So that's, what? 15, sorry. Did I say 60? My goodness, was I way off? Okay, now you just multiply straight across here, right? You multiply straight across. 15 times 3 is 45. Gee whiz, I can't believe I said 60. And this is 1 times 1. And this is equal to, and this is the same as 45, right? 45 over 1 is 45. That's what they did here, okay? Now, the other way that they're going to show you is this way. This is the way that I always work. This is the way I always do it. So you will always see it this way with me. If you like dealing with fractions, that's fine. Okay? When it comes to percents, I prefer to use decimals. Now, as a rule, I prefer fractions because it's a better way to describe an unusual number, because decimals can get repeating. Because like 1/3 is 0.333333 repeating, right? So I prefer to use a fraction then, but when I'm dealing with percents, I prefer to use a decimal. Okay, and as I show here, 15% is equal to 0.15, because you just move the decimal over 2 spots to the left, right? To the left. And it becomes 0.15. And then what they do is they take 300 and they multiply it by 0.15, right? You have 2, so you got to give it 2. So this is equal to 45. That's what we see. So 45 students have cheese as a snack. Now, there is something that they are not going to show you that I would like to show you right now. So go ahead, and you're going to need to make note of this. Okay, let me go scroll down here. Oh, they wanted to show you how that is supposed to look in a bar diagram. Okay, it's great and all. I don't know if you really want to use a bar diagram. You can if you want. They broke this up into what? Tens? 1, 2, 3, let me see. 1, 2, 3, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. They broke it up into tens, right? And then they each box is worth 30. And they used 50. You had to use, I don't know what they came up with here, right? 30 plus a half? Sure. I don't understand that at all. I don't like that. Okay, so here we go. Here is an equation that I'd like you to write down. Is over of is equal to percent over 100. Okay? Now, don't panic. This is very easy to do. Okay, so what we're looking for are actually here. There's another way that they like to write it. Here, I'm gonna ignore this for right now. All right, this is really part over whole equals percent over 100. Okay, and for this one up here that they're doing, right? They want to know what 15% of 300 is. The whole is 300, or the of is 300. So this would be 300, filling this out. I'm going to replace is with a box, okay, an empty box is equal to, we put in the percent number without the percent sign, don't put the percent sign, over 100. And now we cross multiply, okay? We cross multiply. All right, so you got, and I'm going to replace, okay, so you get 100 times a box, which is an unknown, right, is equal to 15 times 300. Okay, you keep this like this, right? You're solving this right here, okay, and you multiply 15 times 300, which we have already done, which is 4,500. Okay, this is right here. Right here, I'll do it for you real quick. 300 times 15, right? It's 4,500. Right, that's not a 6, that's a 0. Okay, now, what do we do once we're here? Okay, so now we're here. What we now have to do is we have to divide each side by 100. I'm going to go ahead and rewrite this. Let me remove this. Let me go ahead and extend this page. Right, so I got 100, right, is equal to 4,500. I divide each side by 100. Okay, that goes away. All right. This is divided by 100, right? So you take 4,500 and you divide it by 100. And if you understand how this works, right, you just get rid of the 2 zeros. And then you have 45 over 1. So this becomes, our box is equal to 45. So we know that this is the answer. 45 is the answer. Okay, because that's what this box, I'm trying to solve for that box right there. Okay, we're trying to solve for all these boxes right here. Okay, so now we know that 45 is our answer, which is what it is, right? Okay. Let's try, it says, okay, so it says, try to do this problem on your own. Pick one of my methods and try to do it on your own, okay? Either use the fraction method, the decimal method, or the is over of equals percent of a number, percent over 100, okay? Either one of those three are excellent, but I'm going to tell you this right now. This right here is going to happen in the next lesson. So if you don't want to work with it now, that's fine. And if you're not going to work with it, I suggest you work with decimals. Okay? So it says, find the number of students in York Middle School that have chips as a snack. We got to go up here and see what the percent of chips as a snack is. It says 18%. Okay? So we come down here. We know the number of students, okay, is 300. So 18% is equal to 0.18. Okay? Like I said, I normally use decimals. All right, and then you take 300, you multiply it by 0.18. 3 times 8 is what, 24? Add a 0 because you're now working in the tens place. And you use 003, 0045, right? Got to give it 2 because I have to, so I got to give it 2. And it comes up with 54. Now, the is over of way, okay? The is over of way, okay? So we don't know the is. We have 300 students, and we are working with 18 over 100, okay? Because that's 18%, right? We cross multiply, right? So that's 100 times something. We don't know what that something is, okay? And we have 18 times 300, okay? You do 300 times 18 real quick. 00824, right? 0003. You come up again with 5400. All right, so now I got 100 times question mark. This is multiplication if you don't know. Okay, is equal to 5,400. We divide by 100 to get rid of this. We divide by 100 over here, which is just getting rid of these zeros. And then we have box is equal to 54, which is what we are looking for. Okay? Either one of these are acceptable. I do not like the fractions. I do not like the fractions. If you like the fractions, deal with the fractions. I'm not a big fan of it. Okay? So do that how you will. All right, let's go to the next one. Okay? You may choose whether to write a percent as a fraction or as a decimal based on the problem. I always use it as a decimal. Now this is talking about percents greater than 100% and less than 1%. Okay? So what it's asking is we want to find 145% of 320. Right? So here's what I would do. And you can still use the is equal to percent over 100. They all work. Okay? But from here on out, I'm going to use decimals. They're using fractions, which I do not like. Okay? So when you do it as a decimal, 145% is equal to 1.45 because I moved the decimal over 2 spots, right? And then it becomes there. And then I just multiply 320 times this, 0, 0, 1, 50, 16, 0, 0, 8, 12, 0, 0, 0, 2, 3. 6 plus 8 is 14, carry the 1. That's 2 plus 2 is 4, plus 1 is 5, plus 1 is 6. And this is 4. I need to give it 2 decimal places, so I give it 2 decimal places, 1, 2. And I get 464. Okay? This is the easiest way that I like it. This looks like a lot of work over here. And then you're doing this, and then you're doing this. Either way, it's a little bit of work. But this way is the easiest amount of work. Okay? So here we go. If you want to fill this out, you can. I'm not a big fan of it again. I would just do it as a decimal. Right? They want 220% of 65. 220%. 220% is equal to, move the decimal over 2 spaces, 2.2. We want to multiply that by 65. Here, let me move all this down so it's not in the way. Okay, I'll move this down. Let's go with it. Okay? And then you just multiply. 2 times 5 is 10, carry the 1. That's 12 plus 1 is 13. Again, just the same thing repeated. And you add. You got to give it 1. And I come up with 143. Right? And I bet that's what they came up with. All right? Again, I'm not a big fan of this whole stuff. Not a big fan of it. Okay? And if you really wanted to do it, right, you could simplify this, right? And then you got 22 over 10, which is really 11 over 5. Okay, so you got 11 over 5 times 65. You divide by the GCF, which is 5, right? So this is going to turn to 1, sorry. And then 65 divided by 5 is 13. And then you just, so this is now, so you can divide by the GCF, which is 5. The greatest common factor is 5. So now you have 11 times 13. All right. And then 11 times 13. Let's do it over here. 3, 3, 0, 1, 1. 3, 4, 1. 135. 143. Gee whiz. 143. 143. All right, just to fill that out. All right, so if you're going to do it that way, that's how you do it. Now, I'm going to do this one. Okay, again, this is written as a decimal. I'm okay with that. I like decimals personally, but if you really wanted to be fancy with it and see what, I'm just going to do it as decimals. Okay, so and they do it here, right? 0.25% is the same as 0.0025 or 25 10,000ths, right? And then they multiply it and they come up with 0.145 or 145 thousandths. Okay, so 0.25% or 25 hundredths percent, which is funny sounding, of 58 is 145 thousandths. Okay? All right, let's move on. All right, try these in any way that you want. Either use is over of, or use decimals, or use fractions. All right, try to do all these. All right, I'll give you a second to pause the video. Pause. All right, I'm back. Ta-da! Okay, 128% is equivalent to 1.28. I take 550 and I multiply it by 0.128. Multiply it by 1.28. Carry the 4. That's 44. Carry the 1. That's 11. 0, 0. I got to give 2 zeros. Now 0, 5, 5. 0, 0, 4, 0. 700. Well, I got to give it. I have 2, so I got to give it 2. So this is equal to 704. All right. Now to do C. 0.3% is equivalent to 12.003. Take 200, multiply it by 0.003, right? 006. You're done, all right? You have 3, so you got to give it 3. So this is equal to 0.6. All right, now if you ever see that I've messed up on something, please bring it to my attention. All right, so the last thing is 8.85%. 0.85% is the same as, let me put my arrows to show you which way it's going. All right, 0.0085. So take 600, multiply it by 0.0085. All right, 0030. 00, I gotta give another 0. And 6 times 8 is 48. Okay, I'm done. I don't need to multiply those zeros. It's just repetitive. That's 1, that's 5. Now I gotta give it 4, right? 4, 1, 2, 3.
The following teachers are needed for a parent-teacher conference.
Sorry about that. Okay, and then when we place our decimal, so this is equal to 5.1. Okay? Like I said, I prefer to do it with decimals. I just think it's easier. Okay? Just change everything to a decimal and then do it. All right? In a recent state Special Olympics meet, Franklin County sent a team of 70 players. 20% of the team competed in soccer. How many athletes competed in soccer? See, they changed 20% to a decimal, multiplied out, came out with 14. So there were 14 members on the soccer team.
The following teachers are needed for a parent.
Okay, sorry about that. All right, so now we got this one last question to answer. I'd like you to try to do it on your own. All right, I'll even read it to you. In the same meet, which was up there, 15% of the team from Delaware County competed in tennis. If there were 20 members on the team, how many competed in tennis? Pause the video and try to see if you can answer this. All right, the way I'd answer it is I'd make 15% is equal to, move the decimal over twice, all right, 15.15 or 15 hundredths, multiply it by the number of team members, right? So you multiply this by 20, all right? And then you come up with this, but you got to give it through whoops, I wrote 3 decimal places, I don't know why. 2 decimal places, so you got to give it 2 decimal places. And ta-da, so 15% of 20 is 3, okay? Not too hard, guys, not too hard at all, I don't think. All right, you guys should be able to do this. This should not take you all day to do either. You know how to multiply by decimals. All right, just change percent to a decimal and multiply. All right. If you want to practice that is over of thing, it would be awesome if you did attempt to try to do that. Remember that is over of thing that I taught right in the very beginning of the video. Try to work with that. See if that'll help you, because the next chapter or the next lesson is going to be that. All right. So start the guided practice on page 150. All right, you got to do it all. Like I always tell you, when you're done with the guided practice, see me to check your answers. If you don't understand the lesson, see me for further instructions. You know, put your name in put your stick in the help bucket. All right. If you understand the lesson and you completed the guided practice, and I've said it's okay, you can start the extra practice on page 153, 154, odd numbers. Okay. Also, I've posted. You also have to write the notes. Okay. Thank you.